Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're grabbing a word we all use, you might even have said it this week, and tracing it back to its absolutely wild, ancient roots. That word is berserk.
Yeah, berserk. Most of us use it today to mean something totally out of control, maybe overcome by intense anger or excitement, just frenzied.
Right, like someone just losing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the history behind that simple word is so much richer and honestly way more complex than just losing your temper. We want to trace berserk back to its origins in Old Norse, explore the legendary and, yeah, sometimes terrifying warriors it describes.
So definitely terrifying sounding.
And dive into the leading theories behind that infamous battle state they entered, and then see how this ancient idea still lives on in our language and culture today.
So get ready. By the end of this deep dive, you're going to understand what it really meant to go berserk.
Okay, let's start with how we use the word right now. If you crack open a dictionary, like Merriam-Webster, the adjective berserk is defined as markedly out of control due to intense anger or excitement, or just plain frenzied.
And our sources show just how versatile that modern definition is, used in all sorts of contexts. You hear about a crowd going berserk, maybe animals going berserk.
Right.
You might even describe like a political position someone takes as berserk if it seems completely unreasonable or, way out there.
Yeah, that tracks. And it can be an adverb too, right? You could say someone ran berserk through a water park, meaning frantically or recklessly. Totally. And you can even use it as a noun today, though it's probably less common for the state itself, more for the person acting that way. A synonym for berserker, like someone whose actions are recklessly defiant.
But I think the most common usage, the core concept for us, is that phrase, go berserk. That implies a kind of transformation, doesn't it? A moment where control is just lost.
Exactly. So where does this incredibly potent word and the idea of that transformation actually come from? To find that, we have to go way back to Old Norse.
Okay, Old Norse.
The original Old Norse noun was berserker. And the prevailing theory today, the one supported by most scholars and the sources we looked at, points to a pretty straightforward origin.
Which is?
Well, it's widely believed to be a compound word, a combination of ber, meaning bear,
Rare.
and serker, which translates to shirt or coat.
So literally bear shirt.
Literally bear shirt. And this connects directly to the historical accounts suggesting these warriors wore, bear skin coverings.
Okay, so bear shirt is the leading theory. Makes sense. But there's another historical one, right? Proposed by fighters like Snorri Sturluson and initially popularized in English by Sir Walter Scott.
That's right. That theory suggested it came from bearer, B-E-R-R, meaning bare or naked, combined with serker.
So bear shirt.
Yeah, the implication there was that they fought without armor, maybe even shirtless.
Fighting naked. I mean, that sounds pretty intimidating, honestly.
But the key takeaway is the Old Norse root is berserker, likely meaning bear shirt.
Okay, so we know the word and its origin. Let's talk about the people behind the legend. Who were these historical berserkers?
Well, the ancient Scandinavian sources, sagas, poems, they describe them as these formidable warriors who would enter this trance-like fury in battle, what they called the Berserker Gang.
Berserker Gang, got it.
They were said to be utterly fearless, felt no pain when fighting, just completely consumed by this state.
The descriptions from the sagas are just wild. I mean, they'd reportedly howl like wild animals before combat, foam at the mouth, even on the rims of their shields. You can literally see depictions of this, like on the Lewis chessmen, right?
Yeah.
Those little figures biting their shields.
It's a truly visceral image. And as we mentioned with the etymology, they were often described as wearing animal skins or coverings, particularly those bear skins.
Their abilities in battle sound almost mythical, too. Didn't Snorri Sturluson write that neither fire nor iron told upon them? Like they were immune?
He did write that, yeah. Suggesting a belief they were immune to conventional weapons. They were said to possess superhuman strength, strong as bears or wild oxen, capable of incredible feats.
Like killing people with a single blow.
Supposedly. And they could reportedly even blunt enemy blades, maybe through sheer force, maybe some kind of ritual.
Oh, hang on. This is where it gets interesting. Because they weren't completely invincible, were they? Didn't one source mention something about a hammer?
Yes. You're thinking of Saxo Grammaticus. He tells a story about a berserker named Hardbean, and despite his fury and supposed toughness, he was ultimately defeated and crushed by a blunt instrument, a hammer.
Okay, that detail about the hammer immediately complicates the idea of them being totally immune to everything, so they weren't just mystical figures.
Now, that connection to animal skins and names like BERSERK goes much deeper than just what they wore. It points to a fascinating theory that these warriors drew power from specific animal cults, bears, wolves, maybe even wild boars.
Animal cults. Like drawing on the spirit of the animal.
Potentially, yeah. This could have roots in very ancient hunting magic traditions, the idea of taking on the animal's strength or ferocity.
The bear warriors, the original berserkers, seem really strongly linked to a bear cult. We've got the name, the bearskins. What else?
Sources even mention things like ritual observances, like maybe delaying combat for Yule, and possibly even laying bodies out in bearskins after death. It suggests a deep ritual connection.
And wasn't there a belief they could actually shapeshift?
Yes. The concept of Hamram, which basically means shape strong, this was the belief that these warriors could ritually or magically take on the form or spirit of a bear, granting them superhuman strength in battle. Jonathan Shea, who studies military psychology and trauma, has theorized that the descriptions of berserker, rage, the hyperarousal, the seeming invulnerability, the animalistic behavior, and then the crash afterward. Yeah. Bear a striking resemblance to symptoms of severe post-traumatic stress disorder in modern combat veterans. Things like emotional numbness being replaced by explosive rage, hyperarousal, and then a period of profound exhaustion or mental dullness.
So not saying berserkers had modern PTSD, but that the extreme stress of ancient combat could trigger a similar kind of psychological state.
Exactly. It suggests a potential psychological pathway, perhaps a shared human response to the extreme stress of kill or be killed situations, manifesting in similar ways across vast stretches of time. A deep, maybe primal reaction.
Wow. So this incredible concept, potentially born way back in the Iron Age and solidified in the Viking sagas, clearly hasn't faded away.
Not at all. The idea of the berserker is just deeply embedded in popular culture. You see it everywhere you look.
Oh, yeah. Tolkien, obviously, right? Bjorn and the Hobbit is basically a bear shape-shifting berserker.
Absolutely. And it's a huge trope in video games, appearing in titles like The Witcher, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which even has specific berserker quests.
Right, I remember those.
There's Thoughts of Exile, Gears of War has a Locust Berserkers. It's everywhere.
Marvel has characters or concepts that echo the idea, like Thor sometimes enters a warrior's madness, or there was a specific berserker staff in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Uh-huh. And there's even a hostile faction called the Berserkers in the sci-fi series Falling Skies. It just keeps popping up.
In films, too. That recent movie, The Northman.
Oh, yeah, the 2022 film. That explicitly featured a pretty intense berserker ritual right near the beginning. Very visceral depiction.
Definitely. And beyond fiction, as we started with, the word berserk itself just lives on in our everyday English vocabulary, completely detached from its specific warrior origins now.
Totally. We use it to describe anything that's wildly out of control or frenzied, whether we're talking about people, animals, stock markets, or just a chaotic party.
So we've really taken quite a journey here. From those ancient Norse warriors, possibly cloaked in bearskins, and certainly shrouded in myth.
We've dived into the linguistic debates around bear shirt versus bear shirt. Fun stuff for word nerds.
Yeah. We've explored the vivid characteristics and legendary, though sometimes contradictory abilities of these historical figures.
Glimpsed potential connections to ancient animal cults through fascinating archaeological clues and art that spans centuries. It's amazing stuff.
And we've examined the competing theories behind that intense battle state, the Berserker Gang, from ritualistic performance and substance use, with Black Henbane looking like a strong candidate now.
To modern psychological parallels like PTSD responses.
Wow.
Lots to think about there.
And finally, we've seen how this powerful ancient concept is transformed, becoming a common English word we use every day and a staple of popular culture around the world.
It's a really striking contrast, isn't it? The historical berserker who, based on some scholarship, might have been a highly disciplined, ritually prepared elite warrior or champion, compared to the purely out-of-control, chaotic image our modern word berserk usually brings to mind. Very different things, potentially.
You've now taken a deep dive into the many layers of what it means and what it truly meant historically to be berserk.